In this video, we're going to look at this very important 5-year trend line for Bitcoin. We're going to find out what is going to be our bearish price target if we're going to break this trend line towards the downside. But if we're going to see a major bounce from these regions, we could expect a major relief rally for Bitcoin. And this will also be a clear indication that we have reached the bottom for Bitcoin. But not only that, we're also going to look at the daily, the 4-hour chart and the 50-minute chart of Bitcoin to really find out where we are in the markets at the moment. So guys, if you want to find out more, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button and subscribe. And now let's directly start on the daily chart for Bitcoin. And guys, by the way, I want to thank you all for supporting my channel. I appreciate each one of you. So guys, on the daily chart for Bitcoin, we can see that at the moment it looks quite bearish for Bitcoin. We are forming lower highs and we are forming a lot of wicks towards the upside, and this means we are getting a lot of pressure from above. So at the moment we are facing a lot of resistance round about the level of 16,800 all the way down to 16,500 US dollars. So in this range we have a lot of resistance, and we can also see that we are having this downward sloping trend line where Bitcoin is failing to break out. So guys, what would this price target be from this symmetrical triangle that we are forming at the moment if we're going to see a clear breakout towards the upside? If we're going to drag it over to our potential breakout point, then we can see that this is round about the level of 18,000 US dollars, and this would directly be in our resistance area. But guys, at the moment it looks like that we're going to come all the way back down to this bottom trend line round about the level of 16,000 US dollars, and for that we're going to go on the 4-hour chart to really find out where we are at the moment. And on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, you can see exactly in these areas. I posted in my free Telegram group that the Bollinger Bands are squeezing quite a bit and that we're going to see a fast move in either direction. And we saw that we dumped towards the downside from the symmetrical triangle, which has a price target of approximately 16,000 US dollars. And at the moment you can see that we haven't reached our price target, but at the moment the price action looks quite bearish. But guys, we have to go on the 15-minute chart to exactly find out what is Bitcoin doing at the moment. And on the 15-minute chart, we broke out from the symmetrical triangle that I have showed you on the 4-hour chart and that I also posted in my free Telegram group. And guys, if you want to trade all these moves, make sure to be in my free Telegram group and sign up with my BitGet link to first receive a major deposit bonus. And guys, in 14 days, I'm going to do the next giveaway where I'm going to double someone's BitGet account. So make sure to take part in this free giveaway. So guys, we saw we broke down from these levels and we had a perfect retest from this symmetrical triangle. We had this breakout and then we had this retest from this trend line, and then we came all the way back down and we nearly reached our price target of 16,000 US dollars. But guys, at the moment it looks quite bearish for Bitcoin, and at the moment I think that we're going to break even lower and that we're going to reach our price target or maybe even come back to our support box round about the levels of 15,900 US dollars. So guys, at the moment I'm expecting that we're going to get this dump all the way down to the region of 15,900 US dollars to 16,000 US dollar for Bitcoin until we're going to see a consolidation and maybe the next move up or the next move down. But guys, for the long-term perspective, what is going to happen to Bitcoin? Have we found the bottom or not? We're going to look at the long-term perspective of Bitcoin, and we're going to look at this very important 5-year trend line for Bitcoin. And guys, on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we can see that we have formed this upward sloping trend line from the year 2017. If we come all the way back down to these areas, we can see that this trend line starts at the 1st of May 2017. So we could see that we had the bull run of 2018 and the all-time high round about the levels of 19,000 US dollars. And then we saw this dump all the way down, and this trend line was perfectly our bottom from the 2008 bear market, where we came all the way to the levels of 3,190 US dollars, and we got this bounce from this trend line and we bounced once again, and then we started with this parabolic run towards the upside, and then we had this major dump from the Black Swan event, the Corona dump, and we went all the way down to this trend line, and we even broke the trend line and came all the way back down to a level of 3,900 US dollars. But guys, the weekly candle closed above the trend line round about the levels of 5,355. So guys, this weekly candle was the only exception that we had this week towards the downside, breaking this 5-year trend line. And then you can see that exactly in these areas we have started the next parabolic cycle, and we came all the way back up to our previous all-time high, round about the levels of 69,000 US dollars. And guys, we have dumped all the way back down to our trend line, and at the moment we perfectly touch this trend line. So guys, are we going to see a major bounce from these regions? Because if we're going to bounce off from this trend line and close back above maybe the 19,000 US dollar level, we could maybe see another dump towards these levels, and then we could confirm that this trend line will really be the bottom for Bitcoin and that these areas are the absolute bottom. Or are we going to see a bearish dump towards the downside, and are we going to break this trend line towards the downside? For that, we're going to zoom out and we're going to find out where would our bearish price target from this trend line be. And we're going to look at our support and resistance that we had in the year 2019 up to 2020, and then we can see that our very important line would be the top of this pump, which was round about the 13,700 US dollar level, and also where we had a major resistance right about here, where we had this corona dump when we dumped all the way back down to 3,900 US dollars at the 10,400 US dollar level. So this worst case scenario for Bitcoin is in between the 10,000 and the 13,000 US dollar level, which is also my worst case scenario for Bitcoin. So if we're going to break this trend line towards the downside, I could expect that we are going to come in these levels again. But guys, maybe we are just going to see a wick with a candle close above this trend line, with a weekly candle close, and this would be exactly like we saw it in the year 2020, where we had this corona dump. But guys, let's hope that this is not going to happen and that we are going to get a bounce from these levels, and that Bitcoin will really find its bottom at these areas of 15,500 US dollars, because guys, at the moment it looks quite good. We're going to get the inflation numbers next month, and this will also be the last CPI release for this year. So could it be that the Federal Reserve will finally pivot and that we're going to see that Bitcoin will turn around in these areas? Because we had a lot of pain for a long period of time. We had everything. We had the collapse of Luna, we had FTX collapsing, and now at the moment we are seeing that the inflation rates are getting a little bit better. So could this be the indication with this 5-year trend line that we're going to hold this trend line and that this really was the bottom for Bitcoin? Guys, we must make sure that Bitcoin will stay above the levels of 15,500 US dollars, and this will be our support right about here. So guys, this will be really important if we're going to see the bounce for Bitcoin round about to the levels of 15,900 US dollars to 16,000 US dollars, that we are getting a bounce from these regions and that we are going to see a relief even higher. Because if we're going to break this support box, then we are also going to break our 5-year trend line, and that is going to be very bearish for Bitcoin. But guys, let's go back on the 50-minute chart for Bitcoin to find out what is the price movement of Bitcoin doing at the moment. And as you guys can see, we have found a little bit of support after we have dumped from this trend line towards the downside. And at the moment you can see that if we're going to take the Fibonacci retracement tool all the way from the bottom to the swing high, then you can see that we have nearly touched the 61.8. And this would be a good indication if we're going to get a bounce from the 61.8 and that Bitcoin will try to get above this trend line again, so that we are going to see the next move even higher and that we could reach our 200 or 100 moving average round about the levels of 16,400 US dollars. So guys, it is very important that we're going to hold this trend line, this 5-year trend line of Bitcoin, round about the levels of 16,500 US dollars. And guys, if you always want to stay up to date, make sure to subscribe and like my content. And guys, make sure to sign up to BitGet to receive a major deposit bonus and to take part in this next giveaway where I'm going to double someone's BitGet account. So guys, make sure to be for crypto, and we see each other in the next video.